Alright, so this is the review of the study guide for the Unit 5 test. So number 1 says to look at the graph and answer this question. Which ordered pair represents the point on the grid the best? So this point is right here, and you can see that the point is between 10 and 15. So we can assume that our smaller points on the inside would be 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, because the next point is 15. So the square actually falls right on the 11. So the ordered pair in this case would be, since the x-axis always comes first, it would be 0, 11. So the answer is C, 0, 11. Okay, x-axis comes first, so whatever point it is on the x-axis you would state first, and in this case it's right on this line, which is the 0 line, so it's 0, 11. Okay, let's go on to number 2. Okay, Bethany is saving money to buy a bike. She starts with $10 and each week saves another $4. Fill out the chart below based on this information. So we can see at week 0, which was her very starting week, she started with $10 saved in her account, and then the next week she adds $4. That is her pattern. So each of these weeks she's just adding $4. So on week 2 we're adding $4 to the account, so she would have $18 saved, because 14 plus 4 is 18. 18 plus 4 is 22. Okay, so we're just adding 4 each time. 22 plus 4 is 26, and 26 plus 4 is 30. So by week 5, she has $30 saved. Okay. Then it asks, which graph below best represents the relationship between the number of weeks and the amount Bethany has saved for her bike? So we basically want to use these numbers and their relationship to create an ordered pair and then graph it. So if at week 0 she has $10 saved, and we find 0 on the bottom here, 0 would be the week. At 0 she has $10 saved, so that actually represents her first week pretty well. And then week 1 she has $14 saved, and if you go to 1 for the week number and up, you see that the dot really is right on 14. So this graph seems to be looking pretty good. Now if we look over at B, we see that it says at week 0 she starts with $0, and that's not true. At week 0 she starts at 10, so we know that this one is not correct. So we can X that one out, and A is our correct answer. All right, number 3. Linda is saving money to buy a protective phone case. She started with $12 and each week added $5 more to her savings. The phone case she wants costs $30. Linda made a graph of the amount of money she saved over time. All right, so this is the graph of the money she saved, and you have to answer each of these questions true or false. So she will have enough money to buy the case after 3 weeks. If we look here, this is 3 weeks, and if we look up on the chart, it tells us that she has about a little bit less than $30 saved at 3 weeks. So since the case costs $30 and she has a little bit less than $30, the answer here is false. All right, after 2 weeks, she will have at least $20 saved. So let's go down here to the x-axis. This is 2 weeks, and after 2 weeks, it looks like she has a little bit more than $20 saved. Tiny bit more, maybe about $22 saved. So she will have at least $20 saved, so that is true. All right, after 4 weeks, she will have at least $40 saved. So let's look here at 4 weeks and go up to see the amount she has saved after 4 weeks. If we look here and then we look across, it comes about here on the chart. That dot goes about to there. So that's a little bit more than $30, about $32, $33. But it says after 4 weeks she will have at least $40 saved. She does not have $40 saved by that point. She only has about $32 or $33 saved. All right, last one. she will have enough money to buy the phone case after 5 weeks. So if we look at the 5-week point and we go up to see how much money she has saved, she has a little less than $40 saved, but the phone case is only $30, so she definitely has enough to buy the phone case after 5 weeks. That answer is true. All right, so let's move on to number 4. What are the x coordinate and y coordinate for the ordered pair 3 and 14? So in this question, they're really just asking you which is the x, which is the y. And we know that we always go across when graphing first, and across is the x-axis. So 3, which is the first number, is the x-axis, and 14 is the y. So if you were looking at a chart, this is the x, this is the y, you would go over 3 and up 14. That would be where your coordinate or your ordered pair would land. So 3 is the x and 14 is the y. All right. Number 5, look at the graph below. Which table of ordered pairs could have been used to create the graph? Choose 2 of the tables below. So basically each of these graphs, when each of these charts or tables is put onto a graph, it would make a line. And we need to decide which one of these graphs would actually work up here. So if, for example, let's look at A. X is 1 and y is 3. So if we were to plot that point, 1 would be about here and 3 would be about here. So if we go over 1 and up 3, that is the point right there. So that one actually works. And you'll actually notice that each of these answers, the first line of the table is 1 and 3. So we know that that point works. But now let's look at 2 and 7. So 2 on this graph would be right about here, and then we would have to go up to 7. So this is 5, 7 would be about here. So that one is a little off. That point is a little bit above the line, but just to be sure, I'm going to try the third one just to make sure that it's not my graphing that may be a little bit sloppy. Let's look at 3 and 11. So 3 would be around there, over 3, because 3 is the x-axis, and up to 11, which is about here. And we can see now that the ordered pairs in this table are creating a line that are not the same as this line. So this chart definitely cannot be the answer choice here. In this case, we have 2 more, and the answer needs 2 tables, but I'm just going to check to make sure that these both work. We know that 1 and 3 work. Let's check 3 and 8. So again, if we go over 3 and up to about 8, that would be right about here, so that works. Then we can look at 5 and 12. Here's the 5 line, and up to 12 would be right about there. So this table definitely looks like it works with the line that's being created here. Now let's look at table C. We know 1 and 3 works. Let's look at 2 and 5. So if we go over to 2 and up to 5, that's right on the line. That looks good. Then we can go to 3 and 8. We go over to 3 and up to 8, and that works. So it looks like this table is probably going to work as well. And then 4 and 10. 4 is right before the 5, and then up to 10. Oh, and that's right on the line as well. So we know that these 2 tables both work, and this one does not. All right, number 6. Hamburgers come in packages of 10. Buns come in packages of 8. Use the table and the graph to find a way to buy exactly the right amount of each package and have no leftover hamburgers or buns when they are paired together. Remember, you can only buy whole numbers of each package. Okay, so here's all the data that we have, but here down below is where our questions are. So it says fill in the blanks with numbers so that the story for this problem makes sense. To make 40 hamburgers with buns, you can buy blank packages of hamburgers and blank packages of buns. So we're looking to make 40. So if we look at this chart, and this column right here is the number of hamburgers, and we want to make 40. So number of packages that we need for hamburgers is 4. That's how many packages we need for hamburgers, because the number of hamburgers you get in 4 packages is 40. but we also need 40 buns. So we need the number of buns to be 40. So we need 5 packages to get 40 buns. So our answers are: to make 40 hamburgers, you buy 4 packages of hamburgers and 5 packages of buns. Now we want to make 80 hamburgers with buns. So we're going to go to this chart again. We're looking at the hamburgers column, and here's 80, so we need 8 packages. Okay, and for buns, we need 80 buns as well. We find 80, and that means we need to buy 10 packages of buns. So that would be how you could read a chart this way to fill out a story like this. Number 7. Xander planted a lilac flower and measured its growth over each week. He made a graph of the plant's height over 8 weeks. So this is the graph that he made. The questions are: what information is represented by the point where the square is? Okay, so the square's right here, and down along the x-axis is the number of weeks, and the y-axis is the height. All right, so at the square, we can see that it's 0 weeks and about 3 inches high. So 0 weeks, 3 inches high. So let's look for the correct answer choice. These both say the plant was 0 inches tall. We know that's not true, so I'm going to X those out. The plant was 3 inches tall when it was first planted, or the plant was 3 inches tall after 3 weeks. Well, we know that it was when it was first planted because it's at 0, so the answer is C. Okay. What information is represented by the point where the circle is? So the circle's right here, and right here would be 5 weeks. So it looks like it's when the plant is about 5 weeks old and it is 8 inches high. So let's look for that answer choice. The first two say the plant was 5 inches, the first one says the plant was 5 inches tall after 5 weeks, but we know that it was 5 inches tall. No, it was 8 inches tall after 5 weeks. So we're looking for 8 inches tall, so we can X out these two that say 5 inches and 4 inches. We know it has to be 8 inches, so it's got to be one of these two, B or C. And it was after 5 weeks. So 8 inches tall after 5 weeks is letter B. Okay, which statements are true? Choose the 2 correct answers. So in these kinds of questions, you want to read through each 4 and then just X out the ones that are not true. The values on the horizontal axis represent the plant's height in inches. Remember, horizontal is going across and vertical is up and down. So the horizontal axis represents the plant's height in inches, and this, oh no it doesn't, it says the horizontal axis represents the weeks. So letter A says the values on the horizontal axis represent the plant's height in inches. That is not true. We're going to X that one out. The values on the horizontal axis represent the amount of time in weeks after planting. That is true. Okay, we can see that it is the weeks. C, the values on the vertical axis represent the plant's height in inches. So the vertical axis represents the plant's height in inches. That is true. And then just to be sure, I'm going to check the last one. The values on the vertical axis represent the amount of time in weeks. So it's saying the vertical axis represents the time, and it does not. So that is not true. Our answers are B and C. And the last one says, what is the ordered pair that represents the height of the plants after 6 weeks? So let's look at 6 and go up, and this is the point that they're talking about. So what is the ordered pair? Well, the ordered pair would be 6 and 9. So this is 9. So it'd be 6 across, 9 up. That is our ordered pair, 6 and 9. Okay. Number 8, look at the table below. Which graph represents the relationship between X and Y? So basically you're plotting these ordered pairs and then deciding which one looks correct here. So the first point should be at 0 and 5. So 0, 5, 0, 5, 0.05. Those all three, the first point looks good, okay? The next point would be 1 and 7. So 1 up to 7, that looks good. 1 up to 7, that could kind of, yeah, I guess that could be 7. 1 and 7. Oh no, this one's not good. This one has 0, 0. So this one actually, the first point was incorrect. I didn't look at that close enough. The first point would be 0, 0. The second point's definitely not 1 and 7. So we can just say C is definitely not going to be the answer. Now it's just between A and B. All right, and 1 and 7 didn't really give us a clear indication of whether which one was right and which one was wrong, because they're both a little bit above the 5. So let's just move on to the third set of ordered pairs and look at 2 and 9. Maybe that will give us a better idea of which one's correct. So we go to 2 and up to 9. That looks right. If we look at B, we go over to 2 and up. This definitely is not 9 because 10 is right here and we're looking between 5 and 10. So there's 5 points between this. 9 should definitely be up here closer to 10. So I'm going to say B is not going to be a good graphed version of this table. So A is our answer for this one. A is correct because if we go 2 and 9 and then 3 and 11, 3 and a little bit above the 10, that looks perfect. So A is the answer for number 8. Okay, number 9. In a board game, you score 3 points for each card drawn from the deck. The table of ordered pairs represents the relationship between number of cards drawn, X, and points scored. So if you draw 1 card, you get 3 points. If you draw 2 cards, you get 6 points. If you draw 3 cards, you get 9 points. If you draw 4 cards, you get 2 points. So this is X equals cards and Y equals points. I like to label that just so I remember. So it's obvious that there's a pattern here. It's basically you're multiplying the number of cards times 3 to get how many points you earn. Okay, so let's look at the first question. Circle yes or no to tell if the ordered pair could represent the relationship between number of cards drawn and points scored. So this would be X, this would be Y. X always comes before Y. So we remember the pattern is basically X times 3 equals Y, right? Because whatever number of cards you draw, you multiply by 3 and you get the amount of points that you earned. So is 9 times 3 36? No. Is 5 times 3 15? Yes. Is 24 times 3 8? No. Is 10 times 3 30? Yes. So our answers are no, yes, no, yes. And then number 10 involves the same chart from before. Playing the same board game, fill in the rest of the chart. Remember, for every card drawn, you earn 3 points. Do not be confused because the first time I looked at this, I was confused. But they kind of flipped the table around from before. Before, X and Y was the amount of cards, the amount of points. Now we have the number of points and we need to know the number of cards drawn. So now instead of multiplying by 3, we should be dividing by 3 to figure out how many cards were drawn. So 36 divided by 3 is 12. Now if we had a table next to it, just like the one we had up here, and we made this X, we made this Y, I'm gonna do this to check my work. So if I draw 12 cards, how many points would I earn? 36. Did those numbers match? 12 cards drawn, 36 points? Yes, that's perfect. All right, so basically, this is what the chart looks like because we're looking at points. 30 points, 18 points, 21 points. The Y is the points and the X is the cards drawn. So you can fill it out this way if that's easier for you, or you can just divide by 3 going all the way down. Either way, it's the same, you'll get the same numbers. So 30 divided by 3 is 10, and if you drew 10 cards, you'd get 30 points. 18 divided by 3 is 6, and in this chart, if you drew 6 cards, you would get 18 points. 21 divided by 3 is 7. And if you drew 7 cards, you would get 21 points. So these numbers here are the numbers that belong in here, and you can just divide to get to those. Okay. And second to last question. 11. Allie and Drake are saving money different ways. Allie starts with $50 and adds $2 to her savings each month. Drake starts with $10 and adds $10 to his savings each month. Insert a less than, greater than, or equal sign in the following statement. After 5 months, Allie's amount is blank Drake's amount. So you're putting in greater than, less than, or equal to here. So what we need to do is figure out what are the missing numbers here. So Allie started with 50 and added 2 every week. Drake started with 10 and added 10 every week. So what's the next number going to be? Well, 58 plus 2 is 60, and 50 plus 10 is also 60. So their amounts are actually equal at week 5. So that's the answer for that side. But then when we look on the back, we're using the same data. So this graph below is based on their savings, and we need to answer this question. Which statements are true? Choose the 2 correct answers. A, Allie starts with more money in her savings, but Drake has more money in his savings after 6 months or more. So we know that the first part is true. Allie starts with more money. She definitely starts with more money. Now, if we look at the key here, Allie's data points are circles and Drake's are squares. So we know that this is Allie and this is Drake. Allie definitely starts with more money than him. But is the second part true? Drake has more money in his savings after 6 months or more. So if we look at the 6-month mark, does Drake have more money than her by this point? Yes, and he continues to have more money than her. So A is actually true. B, Allie always has more money than Drake. That's not true because Allie starts off with more money, but then she has less money. Drake starts off with less, and then he has more. So they actually flip-flop. So B is not true. She does not always have more money than him. And C says Drake always has more money in his savings. Again, that's not true. They flip-flop about halfway through at the 5-month point. And D says at 5 months, Allie and Drake have the same amount saved. So between 4 and 6 would be 5. And if we look up here, that is the exact point that they have the same amount of money. That's where their lines cross. They have the exact equal amount at that point, so D is also correct. So our answers here are A and D. All right, so that's it for the study guide. If you have any questions, let me know. You can always rewind this video, watch any that you were kind of unsure about, or if you need it explained in another way, just please let us know, and good luck.